The purpose of this video is to explain sampling. There are two major types of sampling categories, one of which is probability sampling and the other is non-probability sampling. The difference between the two is if the participants were randomized when they were selected, then that would be probability sampling. If they are not randomized, then it's non-probability sampling. The purpose of this video is to explain probability sampling. Probability sampling is when participants are selected at random, which means that they all have an equal chance of being selected. There are four types of probability sampling that I would like you to know for this class. The first is simple random sampling. Simple random sampling basically means that if you want to select 100 people out of 1,000, you want to randomly select 100 people, you would put all 1,000 names into a hat, and then you would shake it up and pull out 100 names. And so that would be considered simple random sampling. The second probability random sampling is called stratified or quota random sampling. The second type of probability sampling is stratified or quota random sampling. And what that means is that if you want to stratify your sample or take a particular quota of certain groups of people, then what you would do is, let's say you want to sample 25 African Americans, 25 Latinos, and 50 whites. So what you would do is you would divide the whole population that you want to sample from into those different racial groups, and then randomly select 25 African Americans from the African American group, 50 whites from the white group, and then 25 Latinos from the Latino group. That is what's called stratified or quota random sampling. The third type of probability sampling is systematic random sampling. That is very similar to simple random sampling. However, it is more systematic. So if you have a list of 1,000 people, a computerized list that are randomly ordered, if you would like to select a random selection of 100 of those 1,000 people, then you would just pick a number, say from 1 to 5, pick the number 4. And what you would do is you would go down through that list and pick every fourth client until you reached 100 clients. So that is the third type of probability sampling, which is called systematic random sampling. The fourth type, which is also the last type of probability sampling, is what's called cluster or area random sampling. So what that is that you would divide the population into clusters. Usually it's along geographic boundaries. It could also be sort of location-based, like you could cluster school systems, right, if you want to randomly select participants in different schools. In this case, let's say we wanted to randomly select city governments in the state of New York. So what you would do is you would divide them into counties and then randomly select those counties or clusters, and then within that you would measure all of the city governments within that cluster. So that is what's called cluster or area random sampling. Again, there are four types of probability or random sampling. The first is simple random sampling. The second is stratified or quota random sampling. The third is systematic random sampling. And the last is called cluster area random sampling.